Hey, I'm CJ,
Hi, I'm Jeff.
and we just wanted to have a video about us kind of discussing our experience in AA.
Yeah, and I have a little over 9 years clean and sober. 8 years of that primarily due to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I was involved in Alcoholics Anonymous pretty heavily. Went to a lot of meetings. When I got sober in 2010, I wasn't employed nor employable, but I had a driver's license and a car. So I went all over the coast going to different meetings and listening to different things that were shared and stuff. And, about a year or so ago, I came upon a not so nice documentary about AA, and it mentioned smart recovery in it. So I do a lot of that now. But as far as AA goes, I mean, AA, I've worked the steps a number of times. There was stuff that went on in my childhood that working the steps has helped with. I mean, Alcoholics Anonymous helped me get closer to my higher power, my God, and thankfully, in Alcoholics Anonymous, I was able to choose my own concept of God, which I still have my own concept of a higher power, and thankfully that's helped me. And AA has helped me get closer to God and helped me because as I've sought my higher power, I found Him, and it has to do with a better life. And Alcoholics Anonymous is a beautiful thing, and there are a lot of people that find recovery in those rooms. And so, at this point, I'm going to shut up and turn it over to CJ for a second.
All right, I'm CJ, and I've been going to different meetings for the last four some odd years, maybe a little more. Um, and the first 2 years at least, I went to just AA meetings pretty much, a little NA, but mostly AA. And so my base was in Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to it for a long time, went to mainly the same meeting, but did branch out in the Biloxi area to different things around here. Well, I just wanted to maybe help steer our discussion, maybe even have me ask some questions, So, the main one for me, we did some meetings um, in a recovery center for people. We brought it there to them. And what I saw a lot was people having trouble with God. And so what I wanted to say was, what's your experience, and how do you like and dislike how much God is in A?
Okay. Well, like I said earlier, God led me. I mean, AA led me back to God, and but it is. I mean, there's a lot of God that's talked about. I mean, I've been to meetings where out of town meetings where scripture has been thrown out, and I've actually spoken against that in those meetings because it's speaking about God, especially if there's newcomers in the room, can be a not so good thing because I have found that a lot of people come into recovery and they're not so happy with God, and that can keep them away. And but I believe that if a person is given a chance to get sober and to clear their head up, then they can make those choices about their God or their higher power. But I don't like the idea of shoving anything down anybody's throat, especially newcomers in the program that don't have a whole lot of idea. They're just looking for help, and so that's about all I have on that.
All right. Um, and what I think about it also is, we talk about a lot of times in meetings that you might need Alcoholics Anonymous, but unless you want it, you're not going to get it. And so, to an extent, I believe hearing God said too many times in a meeting, making you leave the meeting, is at some extent just you not wanting to listen, because you have a resentment against God or whatever. But also, I feel like any recovery 12 step or recovery based group should be trying to open doors to as many people as possible and not closing them. And so if we can find a easier way or a better way to talk about the tools you learn from AA without as much of the God thing maybe in the beginning, I think that would be helpful. So was there anything
Well, I
specific?
just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact, that I'm blessed with more than just alcoholism. I have mental health issues as well. And, and that can be considered an outside issue and something not to talk about. But I've gone into most meetings that I've gone into, and when I had to talk about whatever I've had to talk about, I have talked about it. And there have been people that have had their faces have turned red and their teeth have been gritting, and but I mean, I believe that that's what the meetings are there for, and I don't, there are times when people are sharing about stuff that is going on with them, and people, chair people and stuff, shut them down and tell them to wait till after the meeting and find somebody to talk to, and I don't believe in that, and I believe people come there for help, and I mean, I'm not saying spend the entire meeting this person talking about this, but give people a chance to talk about what they're suffering with. Because if most people, if they're coming to an AA meeting, they're suffering with something. They probably need to get something off their chest. And I've never been one to shut up for most any reason in an AA meeting. So I mean, but that's just me, and I don't know. I think whatever is talked about in AA meeting should be acceptable as long as it's to do with getting better. I'm not, Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, and I agree with some of the stuff you said. I think if someone really has something hard they're dealing with and don't know what to do about it, and if it has something to do with mental illness, medicine, things like that, I think it's perfect okay for that person to share for however long it's allowed to share in that meeting. So if you can share for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, how is that such a big deal to shut them down before they even stop talking, rather than let them talk for 3 minutes about whatever wacky stuff they want to talk about, and then moving on? Because in AA meetings you're not allowed to crosstalk, so you're not supposed to then be able to give that guy medicine advice or give that guy psychiatric advice or whatever. You're not allowed to. In an AA meeting, there's no crosstalk. So you can mention what somebody said and how much you liked it. You can mention what someone said and how much you liked it or how you identify with it, but you can't address that person in an AA meeting. So I don't understand how people have so much trouble with it. I feel like even if someone, and I've been in meetings where someone's just completely off the gourd, they're into whatever drugs or mental illness they're into, and they're not taking the right medicine, or they're taking too much medicine, or they're self-medicating, taking drugs, and they have some wackadoo stuff to talk about. And part of me thinks that they should be shut down immediately because they're not helping anyone. But I think really we have to let them share for the designated amount of time. If the chairperson says you can share for 2 to 3 minutes, at 2 to 3 minutes, that chairperson can go ahead and shut them down. But at least let them talk about whatever craziness they're talking about. That's all I
And I've known people with mental health issues that have gone into meetings, and my idea of the traditions tells me that I can act an ass today and be an asshole today, but tomorrow I should be able to come back to that meeting and go to that meeting again. And and I guess there's some kind of balance that needs to be had. But there's a person that this group had set up to where when as soon as they showed up at the meeting, the police were called and these people were taken out of the meeting. And I really don't agree with that, because of the traditions. The traditions tell me that I can act up however I decide to act today, and I can be kicked out today, but I should be able to come back to that meeting tomorrow. I mean, that's how I read the traditions. Um, but then, and, there's good and bad about all this stuff. I mean, and like I say, Alcoholics Anonymous is a great thing, and there are people that get sober and lead better lives because of Alcoholics Anonymous. So, you know, I mean, 'cause I feel like if you've made a decision to get sober and make your life better, well, there's probably nothing that can stand in the way of that. So, Alcoholics Anonymous could be the thing to help you.
Yeah, I like that, and I don't want to sound like I'm bashing AA also, because I feel like AA written down in the book is fine the way it is, but people can translate it. People can just feel the way they feel. I mean, I've been that person in a meeting, hearing, the quote unquote crazy person sharing, and just thinking, oh shit, here they go again. So I can understand people being annoyed with other people when they don't seem to be getting better. But I feel like me as a person, I need to work on constantly being accepting of everyone and being accepting of life and what happens in it, and that not everyone's going to do what I want them to do all the time. It's just not possible. So I hope we were informative. That's about all I really have to discuss. But if you have something else,
Well, I mean, I wanted to mention the acceptance thing, which I think, it seems to me that all spiritual paths are about that acceptance, and AA is great about it because it's about figuring out how to live life on life's terms. Because the world is going to continue to give us whatever good or bad the world gives us, and we have to learn how to rise above that and have some acceptance about things that are going on around us. So I need to get to a point where I don't have to drink or drug because of the things going on outside of me. So, and I believe that's what it's about. And I think all these models of recovery have to do with that. Thank you.
all right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching our video. Please like and subscribe if you like it, and leave us some comments. All right, have a good one.
Bye bye.